1. I spent part of my childhood in a boys' home in former Yugoslavia. Money was non-existent for us. We only had what we stole or was gifted to us. Then my best friend at the time started to have, for that time, a shitload of money, but he wouldn't tell anyone where he got it from. After one summer, he told me he sucks dicks and lets men fuck him for money. We didn't know the term prostitution at that time. Stupidly, I asked him if I could do it too, and he introduced me to one of the older boys, who then would arrange meetings with, I guess, customers. Did it a few times. Can't say I particularly minded what I did, but definitely didn't enjoy any of it. That winter he was meeting someone, and I have never seen him since. Also, the older boy stopped talking after my friend disappeared. Shortly after that time, I got taken in by my foster parents, and they were the best people ever. I have 2 stepbrothers. Haven't talked to anyone about that ever. This is the first time I even write about it. 2. My mother told me, and only me, about the fact that my dad cheated on her years ago. He traveled for his job, and one day a letter came addressed to him that was mangled. My mother would never open mail or pry, but this letter started with "Dearest Love." She could only see it because the mail sorter had ripped it. I don't know the full details, as my mom did not share them all. I don't know why she decided to tell me and not my other 4 siblings. She said she decided to stay with Dad because she had 5 children and didn't think she could make it alone. She loves him still at age 83, but did also say about 20 years ago that she should never have stayed with him and should have left him after the first baby. I love both my parents and my family, so I will never share this. It will go to her grave with her, as she probably no longer remembers it, lost to dementia as are so many of her memories. Dad takes care of her to the best of his ability, and they still live together. Mom still has her house she loves. 3. There's part of me that's always felt so guilty about this, but the other part of me thinks that I did the right thing. When my mother-in-law was in hospice and dying, we had gotten the call that her last rites were being read to her, and we should come because it was very close. The family gathered in her room. My father-in-law, her husband of 42 years, had been by her side and hadn't left for days. We were there for hours. My sister-in-laws had to take their kids home at some point, so they had left, and it was just my husband, me, and my file left. The nurses were saying that they might have spoken too soon because she was still hanging on. It was awful to watch. My file looked ragged and tired, and he said he was just going to go to the other floor for a cup of coffee. My husband went with him. I said I would call if something changed, but he was only going to be gone for 15 minutes maybe. About 5 minutes after they left, my MEL really started to have very labored breathing. I called the nurse to see what was happening, and by the time she came to the room, maybe 2 minutes, she had passed. I asked the nurse to wait for me to get my Phil and husband back to the room to pronounce her dead. They rushed back, and my Phil held her, and after a minute the nurse and doctor pronounced. My Phil believes he made it back to the room and was holding her while she left this life. I have never told him or my husband. Only me and that sweet nurse know she was already gone. I have debated telling my husband this, but he's always said he was comforted by watching his dad hold his mom when she died. I know I will never tell my Phil this. When he talks about her, he always mentions how he was there for that moment, and I don't want to take that away from him. It would crush him. Part of me thinks she waited for everyone to leave the room so they didn't have to actually see her go. She was always worried about everybody else. I've never told anyone.